Indeed, Big Brother Bel here to give you all that you want and what you need. Today, I'm the one that's actually being interviewed.
Hoop loud.
That's right, I'm the one that's actually being interviewed. Now, if you've watched a lot of my videos, you know that I interview many student athletes, both current student athletes as well as previous student athletes. And I do that because it's just not my perspective that's important. It's just not my story that has the power to encourage you, to motivate you, to inspire you. It's other people's story as well. On this channel, I want to make sure that I incorporate everyone's story so you can learn from their both trials and their tribulations and their victories, making sure that you can understand that whole process, both on and off the basketball court. I do that by incorporating other people's narrative to give you a better perspective of what's going on. Because being a student athlete can be tricky. I want to make sure that I help you with that process. But this time, I get to be interviewed by the legendary Joy Walker, junior college player turned Division I athlete. She was a coach, and now she devotes her time to helping student athletes after the game is over. Sound familiar? Sounds just like me. We're both doing some similar work. She does a great, phenomenal job doing it her way, and I do a decent job doing it my way as well. But I want you to go ahead and check out her website at joywalker.com, because if you want to see more podcasts, if you want to see more information, and even pick up her book, The Sweet Spot, I encourage you to do so. Now, this interview that we did, I'm only giving you one segment of it. If you want the entire segment of this interview, go by her website, joywalker.com. It's phenomenal. Make sure you go check it out. And if you have even more time, make sure you stop by her Instagram and Twitter, because she's always on there trying to help student athletes, all right? Sit back, kick your feet up, and enjoy the ride for these next 20 minutes. And check this out.
To all of the current and former student athletes across the globe, welcome to the Sets for Life podcast. Here at Sets for Life, it is our mission to train, equip, and empower athletes at every level for life after sports. If you have ever struggled to see yourself as more than an athlete and you find it difficult to envision life without playing the sport you love, this is the podcast for you. Here at Sets for Life, we will drop incredible gems that will allow you to transition from student athlete to young professional. We will also have interviews with incredible former athletes who are thriving as they chase their new dreams. Stay tuned as you are in for an incredible journey. Now, to our host, Joy Walker.
What's going on, world? Welcome to another edition of the Sets for Life podcast. I'm your host, Joy Walker, but you can call me Coach J. And today we have a very special guest, and I don't want to rush this introduction, but I'm going to get through it so we can dive right into these questions. Big Brotha Bel is a former student athlete who graduated from Ouachita Baptist University, which is located in Arkansas. He also earned a master's degree from Henderson State University. He owes so much of his success to God, his family, and basketball. He often says that basketball was the only reason he went to college. I just wanted to keep hooping, said Bel. This was not thought to be possible because he failed the 6th and 8th grade and was in special education classes for the bulk of his prep days. Big Brotha Bel works as a student affairs professional. He also speaks, conducts interviews, and tells motivational stories about his playing days. He facilitates workshops to help student athletes successfully navigate high school and college. Big Brotha Bel also uploads free content on YouTube to help student athletes on his channel called Hoop Lawdy. Make sure you subscribe. Bel, welcome to the show.
Thank you. How you doing today?
I am good. I'm excited. And I know you are a basketball player, basketball fan, basketball coach. You watch a ton of games, and you already know. So when the game gets tight, coach calls a timeout. They get the team together. They draw up a set. But here at Sets for Life, it's my goal to give student athletes, current and former, a playbook for life. So my question to you is, are you ready to drop a few sets?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Let's go. For my next question, like I said, if you knew everything that you know now, back when you were a freshman in college, is there anything that you would change about your approach to life after sports?
Yes. I would have not sweated the small things as far as basketball-wise, but I would have stressed out on the resources and the things that are afforded to me at that level. There's so many resources I didn't tap into, whether it be resources on campus as it relates to different services, or whether it be people that I could have connected with. I would say drive slow, kind of pump your brakes and realize that this is a heck of an opportunity to soak it up and enjoy it, and to realize that some of the people that you started off with won't be some of the people you finish with, and realizing that to cherish those relationships. But yeah, life is so much bigger than just basketball. The relationships that you're able to garner along the way, those close relationships, like your parents, like your coaches, like, counselors, principals, superintendents, whomever, that kind of helped you along the way, to sow seeds in you in a way for you to flourish and blossom. Those relationships need to be cultivated, and those are relationships that you'll miss the most, even more than the game of basketball, in my opinion.
Drive slow. I'm so glad that you said that. And I was sort of reflecting about this earlier today. We spend, I shouldn't say we, I'll talk about myself. I spent my childhood, my middle school years, high school years, preparing to go to Tennessee and play for Pat Summit. Like, my entire life revolved around what was next, and the next championship, and getting shots up. And as much as I enjoyed my 4 years of college, I was always looking ahead, and I never really stopped to smell the roses.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I think that that's what a lot of us do. We and it's good to be goal-oriented and to chase those things that we want to do. But at the same time, I think that it's important, like you said, to drive slow, maximize the resources, the relationships that you have. And that's something that we really, really forget about. So I'm so glad that you said that.
Yeah. It's funny because when you look at TV now, if we're just talking about the NBA, Steph Curry is that dude right now, right? KD is that dude right now. Like, there's some guys that are living in the limelight right now, but if you fast forward 5, 10 years, there will be a new crop of players as well that we'll soon forget about some of these players, and their names won't be as household names. Not to just look at that name, but that's just a natural progression of it. So that realization of maximizing your resources and paying attention to detail while you have the opportunity now, because in most cases there are no doubling back. With coaching changing, where universities are, it's a business. So you're not providing a service that you did beforehand for the university, and really realizing that some of these resources that you neglected may not be there for you the second and third time around, once you figure out that, you know what, I should have made sure I picked these things up along the way. That was definitely a gripping portion of my life, of realizing that this game is going to go on without you. It's going to go on without you. You're in a written space for you to enjoy this for the time that you can enjoy it. And before you know it, it's just like that. It's going to be like, it's a new crop. It's a new crop of players.
This game is going to go on without you. That's something I never thought about, but it is so true. It is so true. You get 4 years, and coach has their list of recruits and kids that are going to replace you when you graduate. So enjoy it. And that's not saying that it's a negative thing. It is a great experience. But you have to understand that, like you said, you need to maximize those relationships, maximize your resources, milk that season dry, and get everything you can get, so that as you move forward, you're well equipped and you don't have regrets about, oh, I wish I would have done this, or I wish I would have done that. You have to go in with your eyes wide open to get the most out of the experience. Do you think that we have a problem with athletic students? Because many athletes are told, or maybe I should say basketball players, because I love basketball. Many basketball players are told to keep shooting free throws, right? If they're shooting 50%, they're like told to go practice, get some shots up, your percentage is going to go up. We do that. However, if they struggle in a particular subject, they are quickly advised to change majors. Why is this?
We really don't care about student athletes like that. I think it just makes us feel better by saying they're student athletes. But in actuality, we really care about the athletic students. And I say that because for the individuals that will argue me up and down, I says, no, we really want our student athletes to have a college experience much like our traditional students. I would have to call their bluff on that as it relates to the classes that student athletes are able to take. If it conflicts with their practice time, they're definitely encouraged not to take those type of academic rigors. I would also say, other championship teams that you can name, those players, can you name their majors after the championship nets are being cut down? And oftentimes, no one can name majors because it's not important. And that's why the culture is enlarged to roll the ball out there, let the athletes play, and have people majoring in wash your hands with soap or blowing bubbles, something that's going to keep them eligible, but not something that's going to feed their family. And it's a big problem. But I think that we all have a piece of that. It's easy to point fingers at coaches, but I don't think that's right. It's easy to point fingers at athletic directors, and I don't think that's right. I think all of us have a bit to do with that, because at the end of the day, when we're turning on TV, we're not looking for, oh, he scored this and he had a GPA of this. We don't care about his GPA, and we don't care about what they majored in. We just care about the bottom line of wins and losses. So we're just as responsible as the practices that coaches keep up in those areas in college, right? Because they're being judged off wins and losses as well, not necessarily who graduated, who gets jobs and careers afterwards.
I love your honesty and your willingness to say things that some people aren't willing to say. Like you said, it's we're not pointing fingers at coaches and ADs, and a lot of times students have to speak up.
Sure.
A lot of times a student might, they might say, hey, would you want to major in? And the student has to say, no, I didn't come here to major in, what'd you say, washing hands? I want to be a biology major. I want to be, whatever the case may be. A lot of students aren't willing to stand up for themselves. And I think that everybody, parents, students, administrators, everybody has a role in this for sure.
Sure, but that's tough to do. I think what's easy in theory is not necessarily easy in practice. For someone to step out on faith and say, no, I don't want to major in how to blow bubbles. I want to major in, aviation. Well, Joker, aviation ain't paying for your school right now, okay? And aviation is not the thing that you self-identified with for 12 years before you got here. So the audacity that you would have to exude to say that I'm going to step out, and even though this is going to cost me playing time, this is going to cost me actual financial gain as well, as far as my school being paid for. I'm going to alter all of that to major in what I want to major in. I'm well beyond my years of playing college basketball. I've done my time, and I'm thinking to myself, I would justify myself. Well, let me go ahead and major in this, this major, and I can come back if there's still time. I think that's a natural thing to do. You still want to hoop. Hoopers want to hoop. So it sounds good in theory to say, stand up to your coach. But when that coach stands up to you back and like, all right, next, I think it's going to look a little different then.
And that's real. And I only say that because that was my experience. And I think that it's a little bit different from my perspective now. And not saying that it's an excuse, but I transferred from a JUCO to a 4-year. So when you transfer, everybody says, oh, okay, you got to have 48 hours, and you got to have those 48 hours. You got to graduate, but they have to fit into a particular major. It's not like, oh, you can just have 48 hours of P and you're eligible. No, they have to fit towards a certain major. And I was, on the bubble as far as being eligible. I wanted to major in accounting. That's what I wanted to do. And there was some pushback as far as, hey, we're going to put you over here. And I'm like, no, I didn't come here for that. But I think that part of it, and it's difficult because as hoopers, like you said, we want to hoop. That's what I want to do. I wanted to hoop. But you have to have, even if you're 18, 19, 20, you have to have some sort of vision that says, okay, what am I going to do beyond that? And I think that athletes not having vision outside of sports is what causes us to just say, hey, well, coach suggested this. Coach knows what to do, and I'll go ahead and major in this instead of what I really, really want to do. Through years of playing sports, we develop all of these amazing skills. But what is one principle that you learn from basketball that gives you an advantage as you navigate life after sports?
Well, I got to exercise that muscle today. When in setting up this interview, my computer wasn't working right, this and that, and it was definitely an opportunity to pout, if you will. But one thing I learned in basketball, it's a quote. I don't know who to give credit for, but it goes something like, success is the ability to go from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm, something along that line. And that is something that I hold dear to, just meaning that, listen, there's going to be a lot of blunders that are going to happen along the way. but being able to kind of grit your teeth and bear it and still has a positive attitude that you can still be a worthwhile individual that people want to work with. That's the thing that stuck with me, that basketball served as a microcosm for life in the sense of, guess what? You're going to have some sprained ankles. You're going to have some sick games. You're going to have some games you foul out. You're going to have some games where this person don't like you or you don't get playing time. But how are you going to respond as far as your attitude, your mentality, or even your outlook on life is going to determine your trajectory moving forward. So that's the biggest thing that I've taken away from basketball.
You nailed it. And I'm so glad that you brought that up. Like you said, basketball is a microcosm for life. I want to say everything we need to know about life we learn from basketball. I mean, not everything, but a lot of things that we need to learn. And like you said, before we got started today, we had some technical issues. And that happens. But like you said, you could easily pout. And that could have easily changed our energy for the interview. But that just caused the interview to get even better, in my opinion. And when we're playing, like you said, things aren't going to go your way. Just because you get 2 quick fouls and you have to sit for the rest of the first half, does that mean that you tell coach you don't want to play in the second half? Absolutely not. You dust yourself off, you get it together, you see how the game is being called, you make adjustments, and you get right back in the game. That's the same thing with life. Like you said, that is one of the biggest skills that we refine over the years, is that ability to bounce back, that ability to keep going, and that is something that money cannot buy. Let's say that you had 60 seconds to record a message for a former athlete who is really struggling to navigate life after sports. What information would you share with them?
You are battle tested. That you have already in you what's necessary to actually be successful. Period. Whether it be working towards a common goal, with people that you don't know, whether it be grit, whether it be being able to be mentally tough, you have all those things in you. There's no industry in this world that would not love to have someone on their team that possesses skills that you do possess. Now, am I talking about everyone's going to look like you? No, everybody may not look like you. Everybody may not be a hooper or whatnot. But just to know that in your inside, you've been gaining these tools along the way. And the funny thing and the crazy thing about it is, you didn't even know you were gaining it, but it's there for you. All you have to do is tap into it and just know that you're made of the right stuff.
And you mentioned your YouTube page. Before we get out of here, would you mind telling listeners a little bit more about your page and where they can find and connect with you on YouTube?
So the page is called Hoop Loudy. Hoop meaning actually basketball, of course, because I'm talking everything that I'm speaking about is from the lens of basketball. But Loudy is taken from summa cum laude, magna cum laude, which means graduation with distinction. Graduates top of your class, So I wanted to make sure I married the two because both of them are important in the YouTube channel. Laude spelled Laude. I interview individuals that can tell their story because it's just not about my story that makes this thing beautiful and makes this thing something we can all learn from, but it's about other people's story as well. So that's something that's big on the channel. And to really give you a sense of where I'm going with this channel, I'll speak briefly about the mascot. The mascot is a giraffe. All right. So people are asking me, Bill, why did you choose the giraffe? Well, the giraffe is the only animal that has an aerial perspective, but its feet are flat on the ground. So a rhinoceros can only see in front of its nose. It can't see the whole forest. And an eagle can see the whole forest, but it loses context of reality because its feet are not flat on the ground. But a giraffe can do both. Its feet are flat on the ground, so it doesn't lose context with reality, but it has an aerial perspective, so it can see the big picture. It can see the whole forest. It can see the jungle. It can see what goes on before it even happens. It can learn from other people's mistakes. And that's the very same thing we want for our student athletes. We want them to have their feet flat on the ground and be able to really enjoy the moment of being a student athlete, but have an aerial perspective so they can see the entire jungle, the entire forest, and see the big picture. So after the game is done, after the ball is flat and it doesn't bounce anymore, and your eligibility to exhaust it, that you're better for it and you've been prepared for this because you have what it takes and you're battle tested.
Wow. I've never heard a giraffe explained that way. That is incredible. And I'm so glad that you are helping current, future all the student athletes, like you said, keep their feet on the ground, but also be well aware of what's going on. That is an incredible mission. I commend you for that. Oh my goodness. Oh wow. Like I said, we could go on and on, but we're going to break for halftime, and I'm going to bring you back for a part 2. But again, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you. It's been a treat. It's been a blessing. Thank you so much.
Yo, Big Brotha Bel brought the heat, and I hope that you enjoyed that interview. And my mission at Sets for Life, I talk about it every week. If this is maybe your first or second or third time tuning in, my overall goal is really to remind you of who you are. Like Bel said, you are battle tested. You know how to come from behind. Okay, and maybe ball is over and you're a little bit frustrated. You don't know what's next. And you don't have the internships. You don't have all this stuff on your resume. But you've had some come from behind victories before. So take everything you learned from your sport. Like Bel said, your sport is a microcosm for life. You have the tools within you. I promise you do. Just trust it. Just trust it. You have it in you. Now, be sure to connect with Bel on YouTube. Check out his channel. While you're online, go ahead and head over to www.joywalker.com. That's JOIWalker.com. Sign up for the mailing list. I've got some heat coming your way that you do not want to miss. Shoot me an email, info@joywalker.com. I love to connect. I love to communicate. Hit me up on social media. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter most often. There you'll find me at Sets for Life 314. And you already know, here at Sets for Life, it is my mission to train, equip, and empower you for life after sports. I want to show you how to take that same grind you had and apply it to a new arena. I'll catch you on the next episode.
Hoop loud E.